Friday night function on, and the heating wasn't working. And then obviously, as the temperature's risen over the course of the weekend, you mentioned one burst pipe. In fact, there's three. So it's caused damage to the club, and obviously the difficulties of getting things repaired and back in working order. So a little disappointing, really, but I know we're not alone, because I noticed on social media this morning that Hadfield Cricket Club have really struggled as well. Not really surprising, given the really low temperatures that hung around what must have been for the better part of 10 days. And you've got cricket clubs which aren't used, obviously a great deal at this time of year. Heating left off, or indeed on very low, it really had a big impact.
So how much does it actually cost the club, and what's the situation like now? Can you move on with it? Can you hold social events, or is it still ongoing?
Well, we're fortunate that we haven't got any event until New Year's Eve at Ashton. Yeah, work's underway to replace the burst pipes and to do the other rectification work to do is clear up around the club, ready in time for New Year's Eve, hopefully. Because that's a big event on at the club.
Yeah, it certainly is. So just looking at events on the pitch, obviously we're in pre-season training at the moment, or for some clubs that's the case. What's the situation at Ashton? Are you netting at the moment, or are you leaving that till the new year?
Well, for the seniors, it'll be the new year when they start, but I know there's been juniors playing on Friday nights, indoor sports halls and so on. But the real preparation for the season begins in January and February. Looking forward to it as well.
Excellent stuff, and of course you'll go into this season with confidence. You were promoted, an unbeaten 2022. So first of all, tell us a bit about if you've got the core of the squad together. Have you had any player departures or any player incomings?
Well, the main incoming one is a new professional. We've engaged a guy called Alwyn Williams, who plays for the Jamaica Island team. In fact, he recently featured in the West Indian not T20, 50 over competition. And Jamaica won that. He's breaking into the Jamaican team. We've got high hopes, hard-hitting batsman from what we understand, so looking forward to that. But insofar as the rest of the team's concerned, we're hoping to keep the body of that very successful team from 2022 together, because as you say, we're unbeaten. In fact, was played 22 and won 22, a 100% season. So we go into the new season with high hopes. And it's what now? About 4 months off, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're about halfway between now, between the end of 2022 season and the start of next season. And so time passes quite quickly. There's been a lot of work done on the ground, intensive work on the square, and in the new year we'll be doing a lot of work on the outfield as well. So hopefully by April 15th or whatever the date of the new season starts, things will be spick and span, ready for a good summer again.
Sounds good. And of course, Dan Hawthorne captained the first team to success last season. He played an instrumental part in that. Will he be back at Rainer Lane?
He's been putting the preparations together over the course of, since the last season finished. I know that he's looking forward to the new season as well, keeping in touch with people, and obviously as the year turns, they'll start moving towards indoor nets and preparation. Yeah.
So obviously, it's no secret that Ashton have struggled in recent years, but last season was an exception. What do you actually put the success down to, given how, and not poor they've been, but, you've gone through some struggles, as everyone knows?
We have, and we sat down in the middle of 2021 and said, we've been relegated a couple of times here. What do we need to do to actually improve things? To start moving on up the leagues. And Dan was a pretty inspirational captain, gathering his team together. And I think it's about playing as a team. It's also about having the right players with the ability and so on as well. Richard Taylor was a big acquisition last year. I say acquisition, he was returning to Rainer Lane after a few years away. And he led from the front, opening the batting, scored well over 1,000 runs and played a huge part in the success. But it's also about youngsters coming through from the junior teams as well. And Josh G played a very important part there, his first season in the first team. picked up nigh on 50 wickets in his first season in real senior cricket, so that was a positive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just touched up on it then with the juniors, and Ashton provide a pathway into the first team. Is that the basis for your future success, given that resources are lacking at the club and finances are hard to come by? Do you rely on these youngsters to nurture them and bring them through and hopefully develop future stars?
That's obviously the general idea that we have, but I think that's in common to a lot of clubs. Bringing youngsters through junior cricket, through the various age groups, is hugely important to any cricket club, and certainly is to Ashton. I mean, we put out teams from under-9s through to under-18s last year, and the ones at the top end of that age range, a lot of them playing senior cricket on a Saturday now, be it in the first or the second team, and we run the third team on Sunday, which also gives you youngsters the opportunity to play the longer form of cricket, sort of enable them to bridge that gap into more senior cricket, yeah.
And of course, off the pitch in recent years, you've been lucky enough to secure a grant from Viridor for a 2-lane netting facility. I know that Stalybridge Cricket Club, they're currently going through the same process, but with Suez Communities Trust to install a 2-lane netting facility. So just tell us how important they've been to developing your players and maybe ushering in a new wave of players to the club.
It's certainly a great facility, and if your outfield precludes you using it for practice because of conditions or whatever, having the artificial surface is very important, because it means players can get practice when they might not be able to get onto the field because of weather and so on. So very, very important. And support for clubs throughout is important. These type of grant awarding organisations, well, they help clubs to develop youngsters and to develop the club in general, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Just finally, I know that you're affiliated with the Tameside Sport Network, headed up by Andy Dwyer. Tell us a bit about his influence, and I suppose he's helping, developing the club with grants and coaching and stuff like that.
I've got to say that Andy's brilliant. A lot of advice, a lot of information. He points you to assistance and grant aids available. And indeed, last winter, we put through 2 of our members through coaching courses, and the cost of those was supported by Tameside Sports Network. So I think it's an invaluable organisation to help clubs, because in the main, cricket clubs, local football clubs, the amateur type ones anyway, they're hugely dependent on volunteers to help run, to help organise, to help manage the place. So having the ability to see where things can be generated in terms of cash and grants to help these guys do the work is absolutely vital.